Chapter 15. I can't believe your mom actually let me talk to you. I thought you'd be grounded until you were 35. Sam laughed at Natalie's dry wit. Natalie could always make her laugh. It felt good to experience an emotion other than misery and woe. Mom said in Sunday school your dad asked for prayer for all of us. I don't appreciate you and Aubrey going and getting yourselves almost raped and murdered. It takes the focus off of me, you know. It's all about me. Sam laughed again. Only Natalie could work the words rape and murder into lighthearted conversation. So I guess I've lost my afternoon study partner? I don't know. Mom and Dad really haven't said much to me. The silent treatment is 10 times worse than the yelling. I wish Mom had taken the kids to church this morning and Dad had checked me out of the hospital. I'm used to Dad not talking to me, but Mom not talking, it's like weird. She's always talking. It's like the TV being on, even if you're not in the room. But she hasn't really said a thing and won't even look at me much. It's really starting to tick me off. Sam guessed she really didn't have the right to be angry at her mother, but she was just so easy to be angry at. So, really, how long are you grounded? They haven't said. I think it's just understood that I'm under house arrest until further notice. But Sam really didn't mind. Her house felt safe, and her bed felt even safer. Did Rock come see you at the hospital? No, he's out of town planning the summer mission trip. The thought of Rock and the summer mission trip returned that sick feeling to the pit of Sam's stomach. Sam was grateful Rock wasn't around to see her. Having to explain her poor decision-making to Rock would be worse than her mother's silent treatment. She knew how disappointed he was going to be in her. Do you think you're still going to be able to go on the trip? Leave it to Natalie to give words to her worst fear. I don't know. Mom and Dad may not trust me to go. Right on cue, her mother stuck her head in the door and gave her a wordless look that said, "Get off the phone. You've had enough time to explain your stupidity to Natalie." Hey, Natalie, I've got to go. Sam responded and hung up the phone before her mother felt the need to dispense another heart-piercing stare. Would her parents let her go to New Orleans this summer? Or had she just in one night irrevocably damaged her ability to do anything until she graduated from high school? Rock planned for the youth to go to New Orleans to help in rebuilding and missions efforts that were still ongoing nearly 15 years after Hurricane Katrina, an event that had occurred even before some of the youth had even been born. Yet New Orleans still struggled with the ramifications of the devastation. Rock was down there now with several other youth pastors talking with local leaders about how best the youth of Walnut Creek Fellowship could help New Orleans. Honey, do you think you could come to the table to eat lunch? Her mother's voice shocked her so much, Sam dropped the phone on the floor. Her mother sighed and picked it up and turned to leave the room. I'd like that, Mom. Could you help me get out of bed? Why had Sam said that? The last thing she wanted to do was suffer through an excruciating family meal. When Sam sat at the table, without thinking, she bent her knee. She must have made some sound because her mother rushed over to her and began helping her prop her leg on an adjacent chair. One look from her father, already seated in his place at the head of the table, stopped Lisa Flynn cold. She moved the chair back into place and left Sam to fend for herself. Sam knew better than to make eye contact with her dad. That was easy because she was focused on her throbbing leg. The cut began as a small scrape about halfway down the outside of her right thigh. About 2 inches above her knee, the small scrape became a deep gash and ran about 3 inches below her knee down the meat of her calf muscle. Stitches closed up the deepest part of the cut, which fell exactly where Sam's knee bent. With her leg dangling down like that, it was at the bottom part where the cut began to throb. Sam could feel her pulse pounding the stitches where it oozed into the gauze pad. "Sam, do you want gravy on your rice or just plain?" Her mother's voice took her focus off herself for just a minute. "Just plain today, Mom. Thanks," Sam added on quickly as she felt her father's eyes burning into the side of her head. The roast, rice, and carrots placed in front of her looked like manna from heaven. She was so hungry, but still felt very sick to her stomach. The throbbing in the back of her leg made the stitches stick to the gauze pad, and it was really beginning to hurt. How in the world had she cut her leg so badly? She remembered a lot of crazy stuff about Friday night, but had no memory of being stabbed, being caught by a tree branch as she ran for her life, being sliced by broken glass from the car windshield. Nothing. Was this what it felt like, having an alcohol-induced blackout? She'd heard stories from some of the hardcore partiers at school about not remembering anything that they had done on a weekend. They would brag about being blackout drunk, being so wasted, and then they'd laugh as each other told one another what they had done over the weekend. She'd seen that look of total shock on someone's face when a friend revealed what stupid act she had performed. Sam was certain that even some pregnancies had occurred this way. Sam always thought how dumb they were. Yet now here she sat with this mystery injury. "Does everything taste okay, honey?" Her mother looked at her with the weirdest stare. It was somewhere between, "I am so glad that you're still here to eat it, and you better hurry up and take a bite before I kill you." "It's amazing, Mom." And the tears choked in Sam's throat as her mother's eyes softened and she smiled at her. Mary Beth began to talk and was immediately cut off by John Flynn's principal voice. Now he was all business, telling Lisa Flynn about the church service and what she had missed and who missed her. Toward the end of his dissertation on the morning, he directly addressed Sam. "You will go to school tomorrow." It wasn't a question. It wasn't a statement. It was a command. A command in the tone that he used for his worst student offenders. Without thinking, Sam looked directly at her father. What she saw dropped her stomach from her body and left only a burning emptiness where it had once been. She felt the little food she had eaten boiling back up her esophagus and the hot needles stinging at the back of her eyes. He looked and talked to her just like he did when she overheard him telling her mother about the worst kids he attempted to discipline, those infidels destined to be another dropout or a jail statistic. Sam quickly turned her attention back to her plate and forced her unblinking eyes wide so the tears wouldn't begin to fall. As she shifted to the front of her chair, trying to straighten her increasingly painful leg, a new sensation filled her body. Her heart went cold as ice, as if an icy hand were reaching into her chest and starting to squeeze. Who did her father think he was? She was a good kid. She wasn't one of his juvenile delinquents who wore an ankle monitor or spent 2/3 of the year in on-campus suspension. The ice sliced her heart and began to pulse like a doctor doing compressions on some medical TV drama. Each pulsation turned her blood to searing heat that shot through her carotid straight into her brain. She made good grades. She was an athlete. She never got in trouble. So she made one stupid mistake and went out with Aubrey. So what? That did not give him the right to treat her like one of his street thugs. Her temples throbbed. Pound, pound, pound. "Mamfa!" The little voice popped her to attention to see the pound, pound, pound was JT's spoon on his high chair. The rice-coated hand made an elaborate gesture to his mouth and threw Sam the biggest kiss. Rice showered everyone at the table. Did you just say Samantha? Mantha! Mantha! JT continued showering the table with rice and kisses. Everyone laughed. The boiled blood receded from Samantha's brain and melted the ice in her heart. She threw a big kiss back to JT. John Flynn even smiled a little, and his eyes softened slightly. Anger was forced to retreat, but the traces of his icy fingers still lingered in all of their hearts.